Okay, let's take nationalism and secularism, go right to the heart of it. I was speaking earlier about the technocratic, seemingly value-neutral picture that mainstream governing elites offered of the global economy that they were promoting. And this is connected to, it's not the same as, but it's connected to the question of secularism as a governing philosophy. Now, this goes back in the case of India to the independence movement and to Nehru, and also in the 1940s and 50s, there was a kind of faith in countries around the world that the way to a tolerant society, the way to avoid communal conflict and violence, was to insist on governing principles that were entirely secular, even to the point in some countries, as this liberal secular picture unfolded, it was a version of liberalism that insisted that citizens leave their moral and spiritual convictions outside when they enter the public square. And this, I think, was a mistake. A mistake for two reasons. First, it's not possible to decide fundamental questions of justice and law and rights and freedom and the common good without reference to substantive conceptions of the good life, of civic virtue, of how to live. It's not possible. So any politics or economic policy that pretends to be neutral on those fundamental questions of meaning and of the good life is implicitly making those choices without owning up to it. And people sense that. So it's not possible. But neither is it desirable to try to conduct politics in a way that is truly neutral with respect to contested moral and spiritual questions or questions of the good life. It's not desirable because what it creates is a hollowed out public space that can't persist for long. People want public life to be about big things, about larger questions of meaning and purpose and belonging and identity. And if a purely secular, technocratic political outlook creates an empty public space, sooner or later that public space will be filled, possibly, by narrow, insistent, intolerant moralisms, which typically take two forms: religious fundamentalism or hypernationalism. These are the two forces that will fill an empty public space, a hollowed out public discourse, if that space is not filled with, even teeming with, contested but still substantive conceptions of meaning, of the good life, of virtue, of what's worth caring about.